Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time.
So, have you ever looked around and just felt like something's off? Like democracy feels super fragile, even though all the pieces, the laws and elections, seem to be there? Well, today we're going to dig into this really powerful idea. What if the health of a democracy isn't really about its laws at all? What if it's about something we can't even see, the character of its citizens?
All right, so first up, let's try and frame what this central problem really is.
Yeah, this question, it really gets to the heart of so much of the anxiety we all feel today, right? I mean, on the surface, everything looks like it's working. We have our constitution, we have elections, we have courts, but there's this nagging feeling that the whole thing is kind of shaky. To figure out why, we've really got to look deeper, beneath the surface. And to help us get a handle on this, let's use a single, really simple but powerful metaphor. Just imagine our democracy is a garden. Okay, so think about any garden. It's got two main parts, right? You've got the stuff you can see, the fences, the trellises, the plants themselves. And in our democracy, that's like our institutions and our laws. But the health of that whole garden, what really makes it thrive or wither, it all comes down to something you can't see, the soil. And for our democracy, that invisible soil, that's our civic character. It's things like self-discipline and, just that general sense of being public-spirited.
So, okay, if the soil is the real issue here, how do we even begin to figure out what's wrong with it?
And that brings us to our book for today, Bob Pepperman Taylor's Lessons from Walden. Now, Taylor, who's really channeling the ideas of Thoreau, he argues that the core problem is a crisis of character. His whole point is that when a society focuses only on freedom without also emphasizing self-restraint, it starts to eat away at the very soil it needs to survive. It's a really powerful idea. And this isn't some new, out-there idea. Not at all. This worry about the character of citizens in a democracy, it's a super old theme in Western thought. It goes all the way back from Thoreau and his mentor, Emerson, to the very, very beginning of democratic ideas in ancient Greece. I mean, get this, over 2,400 years ago, Plato was already worrying about this exact same thing. He warned that in a democracy, people can start to lose their ability to tell the difference between what's good and what's not so good. Every little impulse, every desire just gets treated as equally valid. And he argued that once you do that, you've basically opened the floodgates to moral chaos.
Okay, so that's the ancient diagnosis. But what about today? What modern forces are out there actively poisoning our democratic soil? What's feeding the weeds in our garden?
Well, the journalist Daniel Axt has a great modern term for it. He calls it the democratization of temptation. See, in the past, big temptations, like wealth and just total excess, that was pretty much just for the rich and powerful, a tiny elite. But today, technology and just general affluence have made those same temptations available to pretty much everyone.
Just think about it for a second. Our modern world, from the way we shop to how we use social media, it's all basically designed to reward behaviors that are just awful for the soil of our democracy. These systems push us towards impulsive buying, they lock us into our little tribes, and they train us to want everything right now.
So why does a system like this stick around? Well, it's pretty simple, really. It's because it feels good to us as individuals. Every click, every purchase, every angry comment we post, it gives us this tiny little hit of instant reward. It feels totally rational in the moment, right? But the whole time, the long-term collective damage is that our shared civic character is just slowly eroding away.
And this, right here, this leads us to the absolute core of the problem. It's the very reason this channel is called Crisis in Perception.
So it's super easy to look at all of this and just conclude, well, maybe the problem is just us. Maybe we've all just become bad citizens, morally weak or something.
But no, that's not it. To stop there is to fall right into a crisis in perception. See, blaming individuals is the easy way out, and it totally misses the bigger picture. It's a complete misdiagnosis of the problem.
Here's how that flawed thinking actually plays out. Step 1, we see all the political conflict, the anger, the division. Step 2, we immediately jump to blaming individual people for their moral failings. But in doing that, we totally ignore the huge economic and media systems that are constantly shaping how we think and act. And because we miss that crucial third step, we get the diagnosis completely wrong.
Thoreau's mentor, Ralph Waldo Emerson, he just nailed this idea. He said politics is just an after work, a poor patching. Basically, trying to fix really deep problems just with politics, it's like trying to cure a serious disease by just treating the symptoms. The real sickness, he's saying, is in the systems that shape our character before we even get to politics. And that is the absolute heart of this crisis in perception. We see structural decay, but we call it individual failure. We just aren't trained to see how all these different parts of our lives, our politics, our economy, our media, aren't separate things at all. They're all part of one big interconnected system. It kind of reminds you of that famous story about Benjamin Franklin, right? When he was asked what the founders had made, he said, "A republic if you can keep it." The structure was there, for sure. But keeping it alive? That was never a guarantee. That part depends on us, on the ongoing character of citizens to actually keep it. The garden, it turns out, doesn't tend itself. So that leaves us with this huge central challenge. If our democracy really is a garden, and its health depends on the soil of our character, then how on earth do we cultivate healthy soil when our entire ecosystem, our economy, our media, is basically built to reward the weeds?
This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind crisis and perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon.
For a longer, audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description.
If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.